Where do I begin with Drova Forsaken Kin? When I saw the email coming for this game, I thought it looked and sounded interesting and gave the game a shot. Now, I haven't beaten it yet. I'm only 20 hours in, and I am coming away conflicted. Drova Forsaken Kin is an indie RPG developed by Just 2D Interactive, and it's published by Deck13 Spotlight. It boasts a 40-hour story. It's got hard combat, and most importantly, no handholding whatsoever. The more I play of it, I keep thinking to myself, is this too little handholding? When you start off the game, there's some basic text pop-up tutorials, and that's about it. There's no quest markers, there's no yellow paint or white paint, whatever you want to call it, to show you where to go. And there's no side characters spoiling puzzles or just flat out telling you how to get there and what you actually need to do. They'll give you some directions, but not like explicitly tell you what to do. You just gotta figure out things for yourself. I know it's somewhat of a novel concept when developers actually trust the player. I think in Drova's case, this might be a major roadblock for some players. It was for me when I first started off the game, but that's only natural. The game expects you to listen to what people have to say, so you gotta be paying attention. And not everything they say gets written down in your journal, that brings you the quests and other stuff like that. You can get some collectible letters and some other papers like that to give some world building, but not a lot to go off of if you're not paying attention. You'll still need to figure out some cryptic stuff. I'm actually currently working on a quest that I have right now. I need to figure out how to get somewhere, but I tried some ideas I had, but I didn't have any success with that. I do have some other guesses of what they actually want me to do, but I have yet to try them. And I would have thought certain characters would give you hints, but no dice. I think the game would have been better having a quote-unquote tutorial section. The woodcutter's camp is the first place you get to go to in Drova, which gives you the first quests and stuff like that, and sets you on your way to explore and finish those quests if you want. I just feel like there could have been better tutorialization here. Introduce the systems in a way where it's easily understandable. I only say that because the combat in this game, starting off, is quite rough, and it could potentially put people off the game. Drova is inspired by Gothic. That's what the developers say. They describe it as 2D Gothic, and there is some Elder Scrolls in here, specifically Morrowind, and I see from the combat and the way the world is and how the lore is brought to you is somewhat From Software-like, especially the combat. Even one of the achievements is a Bloodborne reference. When games want to have deliberate combat, you better bring your A game, because it's big shoes to fill. The developers here call it flow combat, which you could point to where it's sort of like Batman Arkham series combat, something like that, where it's not button mashing, but rhythmically tapping to do the combos that are available to you. That's what I feel like. I'm hitting the bumper in waiting for the animation to end or something like that, but I just kind of like slow doing it. It's especially rough when you go off exploring and run into a pack of enemies. They can stun lock you, some people can one-shot you, some areas do get swarmed and it's impossible to deal with that. You can't really do damage and dodge when you're doing multiple enemies, especially when you're trying to break their stance meter, which this game has. And you have your stance meter as well, so you can get like stun locked that way. I didn't find it fun to deal with. 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, it's much more manageable. And it's fun that way. With healing, you'll need to provide for yourself. Pick up every plant, mushroom, and anything you see, because you'll need it. There isn't like an Estus flask here, so you'll come to a point where the low level healing plants aren't worth it to eat on their own, so you'll have to craft the better ones or cook some food. And the food is nice because if you have full health, the healing that the food doesn't start until you lose some more health. And when you die, you don't respawn at a safe spot or like a bonfire. You actually have to reload a save, so make sure you save quite frequently. This game does have autosaves, and it has like 2 slots for the autosaves. And there is an option in the menu to change the timer. I just left it at default. Unfortunately, I had some issues with the saving and loading, where if I'm loading a game from like an in-game menu, sometimes it'll like soft lock and causing me to restart. Or sometimes even when I'm not manually loading a game, or if I'm like I died and hit retry, it even like soft locks that way. Starting off the game, I did try the default difficulty, but I played for like 2-3 hours on that one, but then I just decided to restart on the easy difficulty because everything else the game has to offer is really fun, and I really want to figure out what happens in the world of Drova. It's just that the combat for me is not very fun when there's multiple enemies on screen, and it's kind of slow. Even though I'm using the slow weapon, I tried like the daggers, and that's still too slow, especially when if you want to use the combos. There's actually this one experience I had where I got kidnapped, got all my stuff stolen, forced to work in the mine, and surprisingly they actually took away main quest items and key items from me. So it's like, oh, okay, it'll be just like a normal game. Once you get through this section, you'll be able to grab all your stuff again. But once I got out of the mine, I searched everywhere and I didn't have any of those items I wanted. I looked and looked, so I took a couple hours, ventured off into a world, wandering around, do quests, get more items, and to get back on my feet. And it even took more hours to figure out where the mine was. I had a vague recollection of where that was, and they actually stole the maps from me, so I didn't have any idea where I had to go. So just kept wandering around, and eventually I found it, went back in the mine, looked again some more, and nothing. Even though the inventory says I do not have the main quest item, thankfully I could still progress the story, which was a major relief, because I did not want to restart again, even though I made some huge progress from before. But it still sucks because I still had some quests I was doing where I lost the items, so I had to like figure out another way to complete the quest. Thankfully that quest I was doing actually had multiple options of what to do, but some quests are just broken now and I can't finish them because I lost the items. And it's like with the map, I don't want to spend 200 coins just to get another map, even though I should have already, like, it should have been kept. Like the main key items and quest items should have been kept in my inventory, even though it doesn't really make any sense for them to steal that. But thankfully the game still thinks I have the main quest item, so I can continue doing the story. But will it break later on? I'm not sure. I'm only in like chapter 2 in the main story, so could break later on. Drova has this really quirky leveling system. You'll get XP like any other normal RPG, but you get learning points to use to level up your stats or to learn skills. But first you'll need to find a teacher that can teach you that certain set of stats, and they usually only have like 2 or 3 abilities they can teach you. And some won't even teach you unless you're part of the 2 factions that are in Drova, the Remnants and Numitin. Or actually you'll have to pay up sometimes, or maybe sometimes both. And when doing that, leveling up those stats, you'll actually level up your prowess level. That's like the main stat you have to worry about here. Because if it's not high enough, you can't learn certain skills or wield powerful weapons. You can spec into sword and shield, axes, spears, daggers, slingshots, and bows. I chose axes because that's the strongest weapon I had at the time. And I even have a stronger one now, but I haven't been able to wield it yet. In combat, each time you deal some damage, your focus meter will go up, which allows you to cast spells or use your abilities you have equipped. You have one equipped at a time, but there is a radial menu that you can easily go to and switch out. And some are annoying to do, some cost less, some cost a lot, but there are powerful attacks, and the spells are a consumable, so you gotta kind of save those, I guess, for boss battles. Which I did fight one boss, I think, like a mini boss maybe, but nothing really boss related yet. That's what I'm kind of saving them for. The developers say they don't like level scaling, which is true. And the game in here, certain areas, there are enemies that'll just one-shot you. That's kind of saying you're not supposed to be here. If you play RPGs like me and do all the side stuff you can first, it feels like you're kind of at a disadvantage because you can't easily get more XP that way. I had a whole bunch of quests, but then I chose a faction, and when you do that, it cancels out the other faction's quests, at least the way I did it. Maybe if you do it the opposite way, you can still do everything. But now I can't really easily get the XP that way. Now, it feels like you run out of stuff to easily do, but there are some spots in there where you kind of like go in there once, then you just leave, but it's sort of like Elder Scrolls in a way where you get overwhelmed with quests. That's how I felt when I was just like going everywhere. It just sucks because it feels like there's a DPS check in spots here, which is fine, but with the prowess level, if you can't get that up to wield a better weapon, you're kind of stuck, and it feels not very good. You can try to buy a better weapon, but the coins here are scarce in Drova. I think I had like at most 2,000, but now I'm down some because like I was buying health potions, helping out stuff, trying to get some better gear, and like investing. We'll see how it goes. You usually get coins from doing quests, but now I can do like the arena storyline here. Maybe do some more adventuring. I think you can do that like in the runings camp to go into the ruins to find more stuff, but I'm not sure. Now there is probably stuff I'm missing, even though I'm like 20 hours in. There are some... I'm pretty sure I know what to do, because I did go to some areas where I kind of like went in there and just went right back out. There are 47 achievements to grab here, and this will be a very difficult completion After 20 hours of play, I only unlocked 13. Most are story and side quest related. One is for difficulty related. You'll have to play through the game twice unless you have like strategic saves, but there's only 6 slots, so kind of annoying here. I think it's better just to do 2 playthroughs, one on each faction. I was first to unlock some achievements, which is always fun, but it'll take the community of this game to figure out how to unlock some too. I think like there's an achievement to kill a bear in Act 1 and actually kill the bear, but is that what they really want? And it's like, am I still in Act 1? Or is it not? Does that bear not count? And stuff like that. Or maybe this achievement's just broken, I can't tell until the game's out and other people try. Even though I don't really like the combat, and it's quite annoying that there's no fast travel to use, you'll be walking everywhere. The map of Drova isn't really that big, but once when you're starting out, it's kind of like daunting, but once you figure out where you're going most of the time, and it kind of loops around in a circle right now, having to walk everywhere is kind of like monotonous and it's kind of bad. I wish there was like a fast travel system I can use. With all these flaws and stuff like that, I still want to play the game and figure out what happens. I'm like, every time I like turn the game off, I'm going to work. It's like I still want to play this game, figure out, do some other stuff in there, like try different things, like that. And if you're a game player that loves when games don't hold your hand, and like the UI barely tells you anything what to do, what anything does. But if you like games like that, check out Drova. It's out October 15th, which is today. I'm uploading this. So check it out. If the game looks good, the music's good, characters are nice. I wish I beaten it, but it's kind of a hard game to get into right away. I kind of like I said, I had to restart to really get into this game, but I'm enjoying what I play of it, even though there's some issues here and there. So if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and check out the game if it looks interesting to you.